Hello dear students. Today's class is for the introduction to the JSP. We are having 2 units on JSP in our introduction to J2EE. So we start with the introduction to JSP. So the agenda for the today's classes will be covering JSP along with its benefits, its architecture, the life cycle of the JSP, how we have a life cycle for servlet. Similarly, we have a life cycle for JSP. Then what are the components of the JSP? What are the implicit objects which are available for the user? We call them as an implicit object or we call them as a predefined variables. User, like servlets, user did not use the class, then create an object and then use the methods provided in that class through the objects. So the code was very complex actually if you see when you write the servlets. So JSP provides the implicit objects, that means user need not create them. They are implicitly available to the user. User can start directly using them. So it goes, we'll see how do we use them and some sample code of the JSP. As we defined the servlets, the functionality of servlet and JSP is same. How do we define a servlet? We say servlets are the Java programs which run at the server, which are written to process the client request. It may access the database while processing the request and then it sends the response to the client. Then in the beginning of the classes we even discussed about implicit data, explicit data. I hope you are aware of that. So what we say for implicit data is the user data, the client form data which is received at the server, and the explicit data is HTTP information. The all things remain same whatever happens in servlet, only the ease of programming is provided in Java server pages. That's why we call it as a extension of Java servlet technology. We can reuse the Java components. Reusability in Java is provided with the help of Java Beans. So once you write a code using the Java Beans, you can reuse the same code in another application. So we call it as a reusable code. Not only the different types of tags which are provided in JSP, user can also create the custom tags. Now to know the API where it is provided for the JSP, as you see here on the screen, there are 2 packages for the JSP API. The JSP architecture, we naturally, as it is a web application, our request goes from the web browser to the server. Naturally a web container which is at the server. So at the server you have your JSP page and you have your Java Beans, which is you are aiming for reusability of the code, and you can access, if it is a database application, then you have in turn access from your web server to the database server. So it is same like your servlet, only if you see it, your servlet is replaced with JSP. So the second architecture, you can say it is alternative architecture for the JSP. What is the difference we find here is I'm using both. Like your user can use for the development, a request can come to a servlet, and in servlet you can access the JSP, or you can access it Beans, or you can access from servlets the JSP, then the Java Beans, and then again your whole application can access the database. So this is where you want to use both servlets as well as JSP as a part of your. Now there are 5 stages of the JSP life cycle. The first stage is the JSP page is translated into the servlet. So even though you write a code in JSP, finally it is a servlet which gets executed. The compilation stage is what we discuss here is the JSP compilation is once you write it, you need not compile it again and again. Your JSP runtime engine will take care of compiling it. You can directly run the JSP pages. This is another advantage of JSP over a servlet. So suppose you do some changes in your code, you need not recompile it again, and only it gets compiled at the beginning. User can compile it initially manually. Then the loading and initialization stages, how we say in servlet, the servlet gets loaded for the first client request, and then the init method is executed. Even in JSP lifecycle, I have a JSP init, then JSP service, and JSP destroy. We have only a keyword with init, service, and destroy methods. If whenever the servlet, your JSP page is converted into servlet, so the loading and initialization takes place similar to your servlet. Then the request is handled, and then using some built-in algorithm, when the JSP is no longer in use or memory has to be freed, if there are too many requests, then the destroying will be taken care by the server. The server decides about it, similar to your servlet. So this is what we find is here, a kind of the internal things which happens in the JSP container. So we have a JSP page, then we have a servlet, a JSP which is translated into a servlet, and your servlet is naturally converted into a .class file because you have a Java runtime system, right? So you find it here, JRE, which is a Java code, Java runtime engine, and your JSP compiler is also available. So this is how your JSP life cycle, in the sense your JSP page is converted into servlet is compiled into a .class file. So now this is what is detailed here is, suppose this is a client request 1, then again the second request has come. Then if you see it in the first column, you have the parameters on which the things are compared. So what is the first parameter? JSP page is translated into servlet only when the first request comes. Then next onwards for all the requests, it is not converted, right? So now if the page is modified, you find it here, see in between that column. If the page is modified, then only it will be again translated into servlet. Now the compilation stage, the servlet is compiled only when for the first request, similarly when the page is modified. Otherwise it do not recompile it again and again, only directly it runs the servlet of the server page. Now when does the servlet gets instantiated and loaded into the server? Naturally for the first request, and if server is shut down, your the Tomcat server, your Oracle the Glassfish server, if you have shut down it, you have restarted it, naturally again the servlet need to be instantiated. The init method, which I said JSP unit, right? So that is called only for the first request. Similarly, if the server is restarted and if your page is modified. Now dogate is where you are the body of your the JSP page, other than your initialization code, that will be executed or that will be compiled every time whenever naturally a client request comes, because that is the body of your JSP page. Now we find out what are the components of JSP. Now JSP, how we define is, this is another way of defining JSP. JSP is composed of standard HTML tags and JSP tags. So your JSP page either will contain HTML or JSP tag. So it is in the form of tags only. Every code, every line of your code is in the form of tag. So either it is a HTML tag or a JSP tag. So there are some standard, or I can say the different types of scripting tags in JSP. So these are which are categorized, which are shown below. So we call them as even JSP scripting tags, which are listed here. So the first tag is comments, as you know, to put the comments for the user, for other user, or who will be maintaining the code. So for him it helps it, somebody is reusing your code, right? So that is comment tag. There is a directive tag, very important tag, which we see later in detail in the second unit of JSP. In basic tags, we get is comment, declaration, scriptlet and expressions. So declaration tag to declare the variables and not only to declare a variables, we can declare the methods also, a body of the method using declaration tag. Now scriptlets tag, so I am using both the words. See, I am saying scripting tags and I am saying scriptlet tag. So scripting tags are, I am saying comment, declaration, scriptlets and expression. In that, scriptlets is one tag. So what is scriptlets? My all Java code comes into scriptlet tags. So if I want to write a Java code as a part of my in the JSP, then I use a scriptlet tag. If I want to evaluate an expression, then I use a tag. So let us find out what is the syntax for these tags. Now as you see, your tag starts with angle bracket and your comment is naturally with the exclamation mark. All JSP tags are with the 2 dash lines as you see it here, but the different type of tags differ with this particular character. So your comment tag is with exclamation mark. Now JSP comment will not be processed naturally by the JSP compiler because it is a comment tag. So the HTML, the first one which you see in the screen is naturally a HTML comment tag, and the second one which you see is the JSP comment tag. So how is the syntax for JSP comment tag? You have angle bracket, then percent symbol, 2 dash lines, then you have a comment, whatever you want to put it for the next code for the user. You with the 2 dash lines, naturally ending with percent and using your bracket. Now JSP directive tags, there are actually 3 directive tags. So which are those? Page directive tag, include directive tag, and one more is taglib directive tag. Now JSP directive tag, it is usually it appears normally at the top of the JSP page, and we have many attributes for the page directive tag. Around there are 10 attributes, and we find out, and that affects the total code of your JSP page. So we will see in detail this page directive tag with all its attributes later in the next class. So now at present just you can see that the directive tags start with @ symbol. As you see, all your JSP tags are with angle bracket and percent. Now you are having @ tag for directive tags. And what is the directive name? That is page. And what is this language? It is an attribute to be used with the directive tag. So this is a value. So I am having always attribute name and value pair. So here if you see, my attribute name is language and its value is Java. Whereas in the second line I see my attribute name is import and I am importing which package? Java.util. So I am importing all the classes. You observe here asterisk, right? So that asterisk indicates import all the classes in the util package. So this is the value for the import tag. So I said, let me put it again. See, @ indicates your directive tag. Name of the tag is page. Then I have all these attributes. As I said, there are 10 attributes. We have a term work on that to explore the attributes of the page directive tag. So I'll take this in the next class in detail. But at present, just to explore the syntax, I have the attribute name and its value. Now the next example for the directive tag is include directive tag. Again you see, @ symbol is indicating it is a directive tag. Name of the tag is include. Name of the attribute is file. And the value is HTML. So when I write this line in my JSP page, what I am indicating? Include the HTML at this place in the JSP. So that HTML code will appear as a part of JSP and it will be executed whenever you run the JSP. Like this is to include a file into your JSP page. So we will explore these directive tags in the next class along with object using expression tag. It gets evaluated there. So I can say, see here, new Gregorian calendar. This is my built-in class. So I'm creating an object and I'm getting the date of that from the calendar. That is today's date. Or I can say my user defined class is there and then I'm putting increment the counter. So I can even create an object, or I can call a method that expression evaluation also. It's not simple like, angle bracket percent equal to a plus b. Even it can be like that. You have defined some values for a equal to 5, b is equal to 5, and you say percent angle bracket percent equal to a plus b. So what is the value? 10. So that gets automatically displayed wherever you have in JSP page. But we have a powerful way of using expression tag. I can create or even objects using expression tag, and the whatever the code is there in the constructor, that will be executed whenever I am using it in expression tag. Now my Java code, as I said, Java code fragments in JSP can be embedded with using scriptlet tag. So now you are saying that whenever you are using this tag, you are saying that this is a Java code and which has to be executed by JSP runtime engine. So now if you see it, see I am using if. But now if you find it here, I am actually, this is called as making a conditional actually JSP scriptlet. So what I am doing here, I am using a JSP, but in between I am putting the some script which like comes off top as your HTML. So see now, if I started with my scriptlet tag, I put a, even you can embed both the tags in between, like I am making it conditional. So I am saying this can be in bold, like here it is not there, but I can say this is bold tag. How are you this morning? Again I close this bold tag. So what I am doing, I am using scriptlet tag, then I am using HTML tag. See now you cannot embed one tag into another one. It can be JSP within a JSP, or it can be HTML within a JSP tag, or JSP tag within HTML. Like this you cannot do. So you need to, I said you cannot embed one tag into another one. You cannot embed, that means you cannot embed one JSP tag in another one, or you cannot embed HTML tag in JSP tag. So whichever tag you are using, you need to complete that. So now this if, start of if is my part of if Java code. So after that I am closing that my scriptlet tag, and I am using to print it, hi how are you this morning, I am using HTML tag. Of course this can be done using out implicit object later out.println. But suppose if I am not using implicit object and I want to use directly the HTML, then I close it and then again I start my scriptlet tag. My start of if was there, my end of if, else, end of start of else, then I close it because again I am going to use my HTML tag. It has to be, you can have here bold, and then again I close it. So I hope you understand, we cannot embed HTML tag into JSP tags, or in other words I say we make the JSP conditional. How to use the scriptlets with the JSP conditional. So I can use it in the same logic, both the tags, but I cannot embed within a HTML tag within a JSP tag. So I need to close it, and then I can use here any HTML tags, and then if this condition is true, I am saying execute all this, but I am using HTML tags. So even this is possible using. So the next important point which we discuss is implicit objects. So the implicit objects, these what are listed here are the objects which are available to you, predefined variables which are available to you, right? So this is application is an object which is an object of servlet context, object in servlets. Like I am creating my servlet is an objects get created for my application. So we have two actually important classes in servlet, that is servlet context and servlet config. So if I want to configure my servlet, then I have a servlet config object, and in JSP if you want to configure your JSP, your predefined variable available to you is config. Now for out is the object to print anything on the JSP page. Now if you remember in Servlet what we do, I use a response to get the writer, the stream, IO stream, and then I use the out.println for that. But now I need not create an object on my own. Directly for me implicit object available is out. So here it's not that it has to be in first letter. Actually it should be, everything can be in small. Page, it is like the class object, that is for a particular page you can have the object a particular every JSP page, and I use it as built in as a page object. This is where I have a application with multiple pages and I can access a particular page. Similarly, I have a page context and it has its own applications. How you can explore page context we will see. Now the important implicit objects are request and response. So as we find in the request which comes from the client, we use the Servlet request class and we create a request object in Servlet. But here for you the implicit object which is available to you is request. Similarly, to send the response to the client after processing the request, you have an implicit object. As I said, it is a predefined variable. You just start using it, that is response object. Now session is very important part. As you know, in web application a session is maintained for each user. It is needed to be maintained, right? So it is a separate topic. We find out how it can be maintained with cookies, with URL rewriting. So you have a built-in to know the session ID, current user session ID. We have an implicit object session. Now here we find the skeleton of JSP. So I have HTML, as you find it here, till here it is my HTML tag. I start with body, again HTML tag. My heading I am using H1. Now I am putting my JSP tags, if you find it here, right? So I am using comment tag, I am using scriptlet tags, I am using declaration tags. Then I am using the action tags. Now we have not yet discussed about action tags. There are many action tags, very important action tags like forward, include. Then I have use bean. So we will discuss this in detail, all the action tags. Here example shown is I am using a bean, Java bean in my JSP, and the tag used is use. And if you find the difference, the action tags all start with the keyword JSP. Now see, my basic tags, the scripting tags all started with %, ended with %, right? Whereas my all action start, suppose it is a forward, then it will be JSP : forward. Suppose it is a include, then it is JSP : include. So like that I am having the action tags. So my action tag always start with the JSP keyword. As you see it, it is ending here. Now what are all these? ID, class and scope. These are the attributes along with their values. If you remember in earlier slide also I said, every tag, let it be a action tag or it be a directive tag or it might be a basic tag. See now what are the different types of tags in JSP? I am putting it again all together. So first is basic tags or scriptlet tags, scripting tags we call. Scriptlets is one of the scripting tag. So basic tags, then I am having action tags, then I am having directive tags. And if it is directive tags, I had the angle bracket, % and @ symbol for directive tags. Whereas for action tags, I am having JSP keyword. For basic tags, I am having angle bracket, % and ending with naturally angle bracket and %. Here how we end? Because it is multi-line, I use it again explicitly, I end it with JSP : use bean, right? And if it is a directive tag, I am having @ and I am ending it at the end with the \. So again I am using the expression tag here. If you find it, this is expression tag. Are you finding it? But as you remember, I am not embedding any tag into other ones. For example, I am not using action tag in the directive tag, or I am not using directive tag in the basic scripting tags. So whichever tag I'm using, I need to complete it properly, and then I can proceed with any other tag. Now this is example, a first simple example of JSP. But of course here I am using a directive tag. As we said, usually a directive tag is the first line in your JSP page. So I am importing a particular package. The package is text under the Java. You know, this is a package within a package, and star indicates all the classes. Similarly, this is built in. So java.util, util is a package in the Java, it is a sub package in the Java package, all the classes under util. Which class I am using from util? Date, if you find it down here. So all your HTML goes as usual. Now my scriptlet tag starts here. This is my scriptlet tag because I am putting Java code. So I am saying date d is equal to new date, means I am creating an object. Where do I this class? This is not user defined. As you know, this is provided in util package, that is date class. So I am creating an object here, right? Then I create a string in the object, and then I use a method here. If you see my object, I am formatting it, I am getting an instant. Of course, this is a cascading for the in the date format. Then today's date, whichever I've got it here in the particular format, right? I'm saying print it here. See, I'm using expression tag here. Are you finding? And then I close it. So this is another example. What do I do here is I'm importing java.util as I'm having date. This is simple way to convert it into a string, and I'm using an expression tag. See here. In earlier code I used it in scriptlets. Now I'm using it in expression tag. So my object will be created, it will be converted into string, and I'm displaying it here using expression tag. My expression will be evaluated. Now that evaluation actually includes creating an object, then converting into a string. So it is like a powerful kind. It's not like, you know, just a plus b, evaluate an expression. So it gets displayed it here. Then I'm putting action as a show user.jsp. What I'm doing here, naturally I'm taking a implicit data, client form data with the name and city, and naturally a submit button so that my show user gets executed. Now how do I receiving my client request implicit data here? As again I'm printing the date here, I'm just importing the java.util. Remember, import is your attribute for the page directive tag. @ symbol indicates it is a directive tag, right? We'll see directive tags along with attributes later, as I said, but just be clear how do I using and why do I using this? Because I'm using date class. Now how do I getting my client parameters, my client data? If you find it here, see, wherever my HTML tags are there, are you finding? Then I'm doing the expression tag, then I'm using the HTML tag, then I'm using again this HTML tag, and now the JSP tag starts, which is that is my expression tag. So what do I doing here? I'm using now, what is this request? See, I did not create an object, this request object like my servlet using HTTP servlet request. Now this is my implicit object which is available to me. So what I'm doing? I'm doing request directly, I'm using it, and then for me the method is available same like servlet. So I'm saying get parameter. This is my method which is provided in HTTP servlet request, and then I'm getting my parameter which was defined in my HTML, and I'm printing also. See, I'm not using any intermediate local variable also. Directly using expression tag, I'm just displaying it. Similarly, your city. Now if you find it here, I'm using HTML tag with the link to create for user.jsp. That is, again, I can go back to my input. So I hope the introduction to JSP along with its life cycle, its basic components, how you can use it, and along with the different types of tags, and a simple example how do you process the client request. from the sent by the client through the browser at the server, and where you are at the server you are having is your JSP page. So I hope the introduction to JSP is along with its basic elements is actually, I can say JSP is very interesting, and it's quite interesting to use because you have very powerful tags, and the coding is also very at ease. So see you in the next class.